Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm so excited. So my name is Laju Iren, this is my channel and I talk about love, life and faith. If you haven't subscribed already, there's a subscribe button with your name on it just below this video. Please click on the subscribe button and then on the bell beside it so you can get notified whenever I put new videos online and whenever I come live on YouTube. So if you haven't seen any of my other videos, please try and watch them when you're done with this video. So in this video, I'm talking about the lessons I learned in the year 2019. I did a similar video in the year 2018. You should watch it, lessons learned in the year 2018 on this same channel. You should watch it. So I'm going to be sharing some of the lessons I learned this year. I'm doing this video on December 23rd thereabouts, so you should watch it this year or early next year. And so I'm just sharing some of the lessons I learned. One thing that really summarizes my life in this year is the fact that many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him, or in this case her, or will I say them, me and my whole family, from them or from all the afflictions. But before I go into that, I want to just share some little things I learned in this year before I go into the really big deal things. They are all big deals, do you understand? But you know how when you're telling a story, you want to start maybe from things that are not so complicated, so that people will wait till the end. But they're all important. So join me this year, or join me on this journey as I share some of the things I learned in this year. One thing I learned was to focus and streamline. So in 2017, I decided to do many of the things that I was afraid of doing. So I started a number of things, overcame fear in 2017, and so I carried that same dauntless behavior to 2018. I launched new books. I think between 2017 and now I've launched like 6 books. And then when I entered 2019, I had this idea I wanted to start, and I just ran with it. I was like, I'm dauntless, I'm not afraid. I just ran with it. But looking back now, during the course of the year, I realized that it is important to focus and streamline. Because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it. Because you have space for something doesn't mean you can carry it. Let me give you an example. So I told you guys that I'm an author, right? And so I have a number of books. So I was traveling this year, and as I was packing for my trip, I realized that if I wanted to carry as many books as were required, because people usually get my books when I go to speak, if I wanted to get as many carry as many books as I needed to carry, I needed to reduce my suitcase. So I have this traveling bag that weighs nothing, so it's easier to pack books inside the traveling bag. When I pack the books inside the traveling bag, it's a small traveling bag, and people just look at that and say, why is this girl using trolley to carry the traveling bag? But they don't know what's inside. They don't know that it's really heavy. And so when I packed it, I weighed it at home, and it was already 20 kg, and I was entirely 20 kg. And then I had this suitcase where I just carried a few of my clothes for my trip. And after I filled the suitcase, there was still space. And so I was like, I have space. And then something came to mind, that because you have space for something doesn't mean you can carry it. And it's a valuable lesson in life. It's also a valuable lesson in traveling. But the reason why I couldn't carry it, even though I had space for it, was because I had actually reached my capacity. And so to the person who is looking from the outside in, they might say, you have space now, see, there's space in your suitcase. But they won't know that I've reached my capacity. And so that's something I learned via experience this year. Some things to drop. There's some things that I started in 2019 that I won't be doing in 2020, because I've realized it's important to focus and streamline. And so that's a major lesson I learned, that because you have space for something doesn't mean you can carry it. And I think it's amazing that God really empowers us to do all things through Christ that strengthens us. But that doesn't mean you should do all things. Find out what God will have you do per time and focus on that. Another thing I learned, in fact, I think I mentioned this in my book, Mirror Mirror. If you haven't got my book, Mirror Mirror, you should get it. It's an amazing book. It's the fact that it's important to discern and understand the times and seasons of your life. That's so important. That is so important. I spent the earlier part of this year largely breastfeeding. And so because of that, there were so many things I couldn't do. I had a young baby. My baby was born in August 2018. So by the beginning of this year, she was still young, still breastfeeding. I couldn't travel as often. There were so many things I couldn't be as involved in a number of things as I needed to be. So they would say, instead of you to be, your mates are preaching up and down, they are doing this one, they are doing that one, you are just at home breastfeeding baby. And I told the devil, you are just a fool. And the devil is actually a foolish devil, seriously, because I realized that purpose is more about being than doing. So even if for a season in my life I'm a nursing mom and I can't do much else, I'm not more important when I'm doing something else. What makes me a purposeful person, a valuable person, is the fact that Christ died for me. And so that understanding helps you adjust when it comes to times and seasons of your life. Some of you are worried, oh my God, everybody's getting married, I'm not getting married, or everybody's having a child, I'm not having a child, or I'm just being a mom. It's important. What you are doing now is important. One of my pregnancy with my first daughter was a difficult pregnancy, and so I spent the earlier part of that pregnancy on bed rest. And it didn't make sense, like, you're not going to work, you're on leave, just sleeping and eating. And I would say to myself, well, my body is working by taking care of this baby. So it's important that even though you make good use of your time, there are going to be seasons in your life where you may just need to stay put in faith. And we talk about seasons where you may need to step out in faith. That's amazing. But there will also be seasons where you may need to stay put in faith, and that's fine. Understanding what God will have you do per time is so key. Sometimes a lot of us are comparing ourselves with another person's, with what another person is going through. A friend of mine will say, don't compare your planting season with their harvest. So somebody might be having their harvest and they're like, now see their what's it called? See their land is growing, everything is working for them, but you don't know how long they were in their planting season. In my book Memory, I talk about the Chinese bamboo and how even though a lot of trees and a lot of plants start breaking out of the ground in their first or second year, the Chinese bamboo doesn't grow until the 5th year. So it's planted in the ground, but nobody can see it. So for the first 5 years, year 1, year 2, year 3, for 60 months, it's planted and nobody can see it. And if some of us are Chinese bamboo, we'll just carry ourselves or put ourselves and say, what is it safe? I've been here, nobody's noticing me. I'm cold, nobody's noticing me. But in the 5th year, it grows up to 90 feet in 5 weeks. And so it's important that you know, oh, God's timetable for your life may be different from his timetable for another person's life. So our purpose in Christ is the same, our calling in Christ is the same, but sometimes your journey is different, and it's okay to own it. All right, so that's something very, very important that a lesson I think was reiterated for me this year. Another thing I learned this year is that there is safety in counsel. There is safety in counsel. There are so many things that I've tried to do this year, so many things that I plan to do in the new year, and I realized a lot of people have gone ahead of me when it comes to learning stuff like this. A lot of people have experience when it comes to stuff like this. A lot of people say experience is the best teacher, but sometimes other people's experience might pay you better. You don't have to make the same losses or the same mistakes that people made if you would just ask the right questions, if you would just get the right material, if you just read the right books. And so there is safety in counsel. Every single thing you want to do, it's important that, oh, you know, this is what God will have you do. But when it still comes to getting counsel, it's so important. I'm not saying that if God will have you do something, you go to people that will just discourage you and say, no, it cannot be God, or God will never send you, or things like that. But if you look around carefully, for everything you want to do, whether it's business, whether it's ministry, whether it's marriage, whether it's career, whether it's parenting, there is safety in counsel. And 2 areas of my life that this has helped me greatly is in my marriage, as well as when it comes to the business aspect of the things I do. Counsel is so important. I talk about, if you watch my video, 5 lessons or 5 mistakes I stopped making before my 5th anniversary, I talk about the fact that one of the mistakes was not having a marriage counselor on time. The thing is, if you know me, my husband and I are pastors, and so I'm very particular about the gist of my marriage spreading. Like, I don't want to now hear my gist outside because I told someone. And so even when we would have issues, and we didn't used to have issues like, oh, this person beat this person, or this person is cheating, or serious marriage breaking issues. But there are some little issues that if you don't take care of them soon enough, you begin to have serious problems in your marriage. And so it was in this year I finally said, I think we should speak to somebody. And counseling when it comes to marriage helped me a great deal. That's why if you are watching this video, I finally got my marriage counselor. She's been married for over 30 years. She's been counseling for about that number of time. She and I are doing a course on conflict resolution in marriage and relationships. So I'm handling relationships, dating couples. She's handling marriage. One reason why I'm excited about that course is because I get to hear her teach. counsel is so important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link for you to register for that course in the description box so that you can register for it. It will save you a lot of hassle. Like she was saying, it doesn't have to get worse before it gets better. So counsel when it comes to business, when it comes to your relationships, counsel is so important. And it's important that you are careful about where you get counsel from. Some of you, the person you are getting counsel from is your auntie whose marriage did not work, and so she said, you men cannot be trusted, just do your own. And you would never ever take business advice from somebody who is poor. You would never ever take leadership advice from somebody who is irresponsible. But many times we are so open to taking relationship advice from people who have not seen it work, and that's a dangerous place to be. So when you're taking counsel, not only do you want to know about the results of this person, because results are important, but you also want to know about the source. Is their source the word of God? So that's something very important, especially when it comes to marriage, when it comes to relationship, when it comes to life. All right. And then another thing I learned is that God is a rewarder. God is a rewarder. So in my 2018 video, I talk about how at the beginning of 2018, God told my husband and I, after pastoring in Lagos for about 5 years, to move to Abuja. And we had like a 3-week notice to move our entire family. I was pregnant at the time. It was just crazy. And so we moved to Abuja, and I knew it was God that asked me to do it. But there were times when things would get so tough, and I would take it out on my husband, not in a mean way, like that. I still knew that God wanted me there. But it seemed like there were times where I was looking to him to reward me. And God began to remind me that he was the one who called me here as well. He was the one who called me to do what I now do, and he's the one who would reward. And so for a lot of us, you're going through life and you're like, oh my God, I'm not getting the accolades I deserve. I'm not getting the respect I deserve. I'm not getting the this one I deserve. And if you're in ministry, there's a tendency to feel that way, to feel entitled. When you get to that point, remind yourself that God is the one who rewards. Repent and remind yourself that God is the one who rewards. When you feel you're not getting the accolade you deserve, remember that the person who chose you, that it was an honor for God to choose you, and that his grace that singled you out is available to take you through whatever he has called you to do. That's very, very important. I remember one time, I don't really know what happened, it was a ministry scenario, and devil came out in my ear and said, see all your sweat, see all the things you've worked for, shouldn't you be getting a reward or something like that? And I told him, I said, well, it's only sweat I've put, but this church, the body of Christ actually died. He actually shared his blood, and so his sacrifice is more important than mine. There is a tendency to get to a point where you are filled with righteous indignation, and you begin to take offense about little things. But when you remind yourself that you are just shedding sweat, but Christ actually shared his blood for the church, and that the focus is him, not you, especially if you are in ministry, it will help you great. I don't want to share any more details on that. Another thing I learned is to treat yourself with grace. So this year I've made a number of mistakes, and I've learned from them. You know, some mistakes that make your bank account empty, but keep your experience account full. Do you understand? But I've learned a lot from those mistakes, and so it's important that you learn to treat yourself with grace. If you keep going on with your life saying, oh my God, I did this last year, I'll never ever qualify, I'll never ever be able to do this, you miss the point. It's so important that you learn to treat yourself with grace. You are not your past mistakes, you're not your past failures. In Mirror, I talk about the fact that, in my book Mirror, I talk about the fact that if you keep staring at your rear view mirror, you're going to crash and burn. If you are driving and you keep looking to see what's happening at the back or what's happened at the back, it's not going to be long before you hurt your future in the process. So regardless of what you've done in the past, understand that God is more interested in you than in what you have done. And even though you might say, oh, maybe God was upset with me, or this one, that one, or whatever, understand that he cares more about you than your actions. And God is not just your boss. God is not just your master. He's your father. I saw something during the week that I really liked. A servant says, oh man, I've messed up, my boss will deal with me. A son says, I've messed up, I need to call my dad. Just imagine that. And so it's important that you learn to treat yourself with grace. And people might say, oh well, this grace thing, that's why people will keep messing up. That's not true. When you realize that you've been called to be more, when you realize that you're not the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus, you can walk accordingly. I was telling them in my book memory about a song I used to sing. Things like, I always fall short of being worthy. I ain't good enough, he still loves me. And it was a nice song, it was emotional. But the Holy Spirit warned me not to sing it. He said, that's not true about you. He said, it's true that you were not good enough before you came into Christ. But now, the man in Christ has been made good enough for God. And the truth is, if you continue singing I ain't good enough but he still loves me, you will actually never be good enough. Like, you'll be saved by grace through faith, legally you'll be good enough, but you'll never be able to match up to that expectation. So when you understand who Christ has called you to be and you own it, that's when you can work accordingly. But if you keep living in false humility that I can never be good enough, even after Christ has made you good enough, you never really walk in a manner worthy of the calling that you've received. So treat yourself with grace, alright? And then another thing is to be guided by prophecy. It's so important. That's what I've learned in this year. In fact, I'm talking to you, I'm now living in Lagos, Nigeria. Like, oh my God, I tell people that it would be harder for me to move back to Lagos than it was for me to move to Abuja. If you live in Nigeria, you have to understand, Abuja is an easier place to live. In my house, we always had, like, talking about this in my 2018 video, there's no traffic, the city is calmer, the air is fresher. Lagos air is as if everybody breathed it. They breathed it again 100 times. They now gave it to you to recycle and breathe. Like, it's so frustrating. But Abuja air is just fresh. But anyway, it's important to be guided by prophecy. It's important because you may think that somewhere is safe or good, but if it's not the will of God for you, it can't really be safe enough. I find it interesting that Ruth and her husband left Israel at a time when there was famine because they didn't want to die, only for them to go to a land that did not have famine, but she lost her husband and she lost her 2 sons. So when it comes down to it, you might look at the weather forecast, you might look at the indices and see, oh, standard of living in Canada is better. This is not against people living in Canada, by the way. The important thing is just to do what God will have you do. That's the safest place to be. To be the will of God for you, that's the safest place for you to be. So be guided by prophecy. Understand what God will have you do, and then don't forget to seek counsel. Another random thing is to pay attention to details. So this year I started my publishing company, like full-fledged. Before I used to just self-publish my books, but now I partner with other people to help get their books published, Laju Iren Publishing. And I remember seeing an error in one of my books. In fact, this is my first time of sharing it. And I saw the error. I wasn't the one who put it there, but I told somebody to remove it. But because the person told me that they had removed it, I didn't bother to check or follow up. And then we had printed 1,000 copies and the error was still there. Like, so the next book I worked on after that, you see the way I paid attention to details. I think it's so important. So delegation is important when you're running a business, but I think that there's some quality checks that you must do yourself. That's why it's almost almost impossible to be starting a new business or a young business and you're not present. So it's very easy to take some things for granted, but it's important that you pay attention to details. That you assume that the person who you told, even though the person is brilliant and smart, just didn't get it, and so you check, triple check and double check. And if you're publishing your book, you have a budget for your book. For now, we don't publish with our own budget. So if you have a budget to publish your book, you can send me an email, lajuiren@gmail.com or lajuiren@courses@gmail.com. Alright, so that's important. Pay attention to details. Figure out what's working, what's not working in your life. The fact that you've always been doing something doesn't mean you should continue doing it. If it's not working, I don't mean you just, I talked about times and seasons, so sometimes it may not just be time. But there are some things it's not just time. It's just not working. It doesn't work. Some of you will say, I always read at night. So you play during the day. When you get to that night, you will sleep. And you keep on saying that I read at night. If it's not working, don't do it. Figure out what works. That's so important. And then, so I told you guys, I said that one thing that summarizes my life this year was many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivered him from them all. It was a fairly uneventful year, in a way, not uneventful, so to speak. I mean, I was still pastoring, I traveled a little, I launched 2 books, that was Finding Miriam, along with the sequel before that one, Loving Amanda. So I printed the novel, and then there was Mirror Mirror in August on my birthday. And then from August into September, things began to, sorry, before I go into that, I think another thing I want to mention is I learned a lot of marriage lessons this year. I can't start mentioning all of them, but I think it was the best year of my marriage so far. So check out 5 mistakes I stopped making before my 50th anniversary. Check out that, it will give you like the marriage aspect. But we got into September, back to the gist, and things began to go in an interesting way. We were supposed to, usually my husband's a pastor. I love him so much. He's a good pastor. We have this schedule where we teach, like he teaches something, and the Lagos pastor at that time would teach the same thing. So we already had like a curriculum. And so one Sunday evening, I think it was in August or September, we were supposed to teach on something else. And so he calls this pastor in Lagos and says, the Holy Spirit is leading me to teach on something else. Let's talk about how it's important to stay strong even in the face of trials, in the face of temptations, and how in this world you have tribulations, but be of good cheer, overcome the world. And so me, I was like, we had faced 1 or 2 challenges at that time, health related issues, and everything was better. And so me, I was like, okay, maybe that's it. Maybe that's the reason why pastor is preaching this message. Because on Sunday it was really like, be of good cheer. You will have tribulation in the world, but be strong. I mean, I was just like, you know how you hear a message on Sunday and you know that pata Wednesday you have already faced the temptation that accompanies that message. So I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? I wasn't scared, but it was an interesting season. And so on Tuesday, we're coming back from church, and as we get into the area where we used to stay in Abuja at the time, I sensed 2 things. I sensed a darkness over the place, and then I sensed a quietness in my husband's spirit. And even though I was singing nursery rhymes with my daughter, I immediately started praying in tongues. And she says, Mommy, why are you praying? Sing with me. I said, don't worry, I'll sing with you later. So I began to pray in tongues till we got home. We got home, we're in the room eating suya, eating chicken suya, because like you're not supposed to be eating beef on the diet like me. And we get a knock from a friend who was a neighbor, and she says, oh, her husband has been kidnapped. And I was like, oh, Spirit, is this the reason why you wanted us to pray? And so we spent time praying. And her husband is a really good friend of mine. Like they're really close. And so we spent time praying. Then I think it was like a few hours later, after praying, we dozed off. You know that kind of sleep that you are sleeping and praying, you're not really sleeping. So we're doing that. And then suddenly I began to hear noise in our compound. Noise. And people were shouting. And then I realized that people were trying to break our door. So I woke my husband up. I said, it's like thieves are trying to break into our house. So as soon as I said that, the baby was sleeping with me, she was quiet. I didn't want to wake her. The other children were sleeping in another room. So I told my husband, I said, he ran to the parlor. While I was doing, I told him, I said, let me go and check on the kids, because my older daughter is very friendly. In fact, that's the one I'm not to be overly friendly. So I don't want a situation where she will wake up, these will be in the house, we're not going to be saying hi to them, like, hi guys, how are you? I remember when she told some people, hi guys, in church on Sunday. She's very friendly like that. And so I went to that room. I was trying to get the children who were there out of that room. And just as I was trying to get them out, these had already entered into the house. And so I had to retreat back into the room, because I didn't want a situation where they would now see all of us at once. The other baby was sleeping, so I was like, oh my God, maybe they won't just see us. And so you asked my husband, where is money? Give us money, give us money. And so my husband was like, I don't have cash, I'll do transfer for you. And if not for the severity of the situation, I would have laughed. Like, you want to do transfer for thief? Like, cashless thief that knows that they will catch you with his account. And so I'm really grateful to God for my husband, because he was really calm. And he said, okay, I don't have money, but they took, I think I just got a new, the thing was, I wanted to improve the quality of my videos, like some of you guys asked me to, so I got like this S10, but it was 5 days old. I didn't even get a chance to do one YouTube video with that phone. He took that phone, took my husband's iPhone, took my laptop, his iPad, the church line that was with us, they took his bag, but everything was just on a table in our room. And I kid you not, they didn't do up to 10 minutes in my house. My baby that was sleeping on the bed did not even wake up at all. Me and the other kids that were in the room where we were hiding, they didn't even bother to check for us. They just took the things on the table, took my husband's bag, and left. Nobody was hurt. I look at it now, and my husband shares this story, and he's talking about how God told Paul that you will be robbed, but no life will be lost. And he was like, since you already know that this is going to happen, why don't you just do it such that we will not be robbed at all? Or, sorry, that the ship will wreck, not that you'll be robbed, that the ship will be wrecked. but no life. Because why don't you just do it that the ship will not be wrecked at all, that they will not just break into our house, that they will just put under the anointing. And so many times there is this tendency to look and say, I wish God had done it this way. But I think it's interesting to also look at what God has actually done. Imagine if the children were awake. The children woke up the next day, my daughter went to school like normal, like not up to today, she doesn't even know if anything happened. Imagine if someone was raped. Imagine if someone was shot. And so when they left, I was just, my husband and I were encouraging them, and because I didn't see them, he saw them. I said, what did they have? He said they had a gun and a machete. And I said, sure, thank God they're okay. And he was like, thank God, but like, I'm even sure the gun, there's no bullets inside. What kind of, he was really upset, like, I'm not going, why would these come to my house? And just as we were talking, they shot in the other compound. Because it was already like, I'm sure there are no bullets in the gun. And they shot in the other compound. And by the time we heard what they did to the neighbors, they actually, in fact, that one, the neighbors did not even know when they entered their house. So they went straight to the children's room, slapped one of their daughters, used the side of the cutlass to wake the man up. They checked everywhere, took everything. We still had our wedding rings. They took every single thing that was valuable, everything that was valuable they could carry in that house. Do you understand? And thankfully, them took their lives were not lost. But it was more traumatizing for them. When they were done, they locked all of them in one room and they're taking away all their phones. I still had one palace, I had this phone. I still had it. I don't even know why. I wish I could exchange. I said, please just give me the S10 and take this one. But it's all good. And so they did that. And my husband, when we heard the gunshots, we were even more thankful. Like, okay, so they actually did not shoot here. It would have been more traumatizing. I'm so grateful for a lot of things. That same week, by God's grace, our friend got released. But it just began to, there were so many other things to come. So many other things. Someone gave us a car. There was an issue with the car when it came to customs. It was just one thing after the other. And then people who we really loved, that were close to us, began to fall ill. Then it was just crazy, like one thing after the other. I can't even tell you guys all the things that happened. And so it seemed like from September down to October, and then they now began to seem like we were having a season of recovery, and I think we really are in this time. But it wasn't up to 2 months later, a friend of ours, or my husband's PA, was driving our car, my car, had an accident. He came out on scar, but the car, nothing remained of the car. You know when you sell a car for scraps, like your mechanic will tell you, don't even bother to repair this car. When you sell it for 1/20th or 1/10 of what you got it for. And so it was just really that kind of season. But there's something I now began to realize. Those people told me something. He said, all the things you've lost are things that money can replace. Imagine if, God forbid, my children were awake or someone was raped. Imagine if, God forbid, someone was shot. All the things you've lost are things that money can replace. And I know that for some of you watching this, you may be going through a tough time. And you're like, oh my God, why did this happen and this happen and this happen? But look at your life. What you have in your hands. What can you really find to be thankful for? What can you really find to be thankful for? And look, I'm not saying that God caused all these things to happen. We live in a fallen world. But the things that remain untouched, you might say, oh my God, I'm so poor, I don't even have money. But you don't have a terminal disease. You might say, oh my God, I was robbed, but your life wasn't taken from you. Oh my God, I can't do this, but what can you do? Do you understand? I'm going through this and this and this and this, but you have eternal life. You have hope for the future. You have Jesus in your heart. That's something more than gold. And so when the going gets tough, be thankful. When the going gets tough, be thankful. Jesus wanted to feed 5,000 people, and it was just annoying. 5 loaves and 2 fish. Like, if I'm the one, I'll be angry. You know how you need money, you now start getting alert from your bank, but it's alert about how to dial *737* and buy airtime. How did you know that you can use our ATM anywhere? They will not start charging you. In fact, it's when you need money that bank will remember all the charges they will not charge in the year. And so sometimes it looks like when you want things to get better, they're getting worse. But just remember that the person in Christ always wins. And so that's the reason why you should always give thanks. Because winning is always the end game for you. In the end, we win. And so that's something that you must understand. There are a lot of things that we went through, like, and just one thing I think is important for people to learn is to also learn to be empathetic. Like, you don't always know what people are going through. For a while, in fact, for a while, that when that thing happened, nobody really knew. My husband, I think when it was my time to preach church, I was still preachers. When it was time to preach, we would counsel people. In fact, the week we had so much drama at once, somebody scratched his car next to my husband and said, "Please help me ask. Am I caused? What did I do to God? And my car is scratched." And my husband was like, in his mind, he was like, "If you know what I'm going through, you won't even be asking me such." So learn to be empathetic towards people. You don't always know what people are going through. In that same season, it was crazy, and I think I remember somebody sending me a DM and being really angry that I didn't reply to the DM. But you don't really know what someone is going through in their personal life, so it's important that empathy plays a major role. And if you have pastors, if you have leaders, spend time praying for them. As individuals also, it's also important to be prayerful. I think prayer is one major thing that delivered us in this time. The day before the accident happened that took the car but didn't take our family member's life, because the guy is family, didn't take his life. My husband and I were on holiday, but we began to realize that we needed to pray. It was a romantic holiday, it was our anniversary. And so my husband said, "I think we should pray." So he prayed for a bit, and then I prayed for a bit overnight, and then we still spent time praying in the morning. So sometimes when you get these nudges to pray, when you get nudges to pray in the Holy Ghost, don't ignore them. Don't ignore them. What did I say? When you get nudges to pray, don't ignore them. And then don't wait until you get a nudge to pray before you pray. So you pray without ceasing. When you get a nudge to pray, when you don't get a nudge to pray, it's so important. Do you understand? And remember, many afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him from them also. When you're going through tough times, be thankful and always be prayerful. And remember, it's by being thankful, it's by being prayerful that you structure and you align yourself with prophecy. So be intentional about saying about yourself what God has said concerning you. What else do I have to share? Well, if I remember, I'll do another video. But that's it from me, from the city of Lagos. So if you're in Lagos, try and visit us at Celebration Church International in Lagos. Details are on my IG page at Laju Iren, or you can visit ccint.org for more information, or our IG page at cci_Lagos. We'll be coming to Abuja once in a while. We have an awesome church there, an amazing pastor, an amazing group of people, so we're still all family. Thank you all so much for watching my video. I think I really shared a lot, but thank you and have a great day ahead. Don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe, don't just walk up past. Make sure you subscribe. Okay, love you all. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year to you. And I pray that you have a fulfilling year, guided by prophecy, led by the Spirit, a year of wisdom, of the right counsel, in Jesus' name. Love you all. Peace. Your peace. Your peace.